way too early with us on this Thursday morning. Morning Joe starts right now.
If he decides that he's going to run, would that preclude any sort of run that you would possibly make yourself?
I would not run if President Trump ran.
I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Times change, and so has Trump. He's gotten more unstable and unhinged.
Biden has been a catastrophe. So I will be voting for Trump.
So first she would not run against him. Then she did 3 months
Mika,
ago.
hold on. Hold on.
I have
I'm
a
so
list.
shocked. I'm so shocked. We
Okay.
want to hear your list.
Yeah,
Please.
it's a list. Like I'm checking it off. So she wouldn't run against him. Then she did. 3 months ago, he was too unhinged to get a driver's license. And now Nikki Haley will vote for Donald Trump for president of the United States. Good morning,
Willie,
everybody.
this is one of those. I'm shocked. I mean, she's done this over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And I will say that let's just say right off the top, this happens in politics. I mean, you know, people say nasty things about other people when they're running against them for president, and then they come together. I do think, though, everybody has to make a choice, and in 2024, you know, Nikki Haley could have made the choice that a lot of conservative Republicans have made. I'm going to be talking to Charlie Sykes about that in a little bit, and that is, you know what? Stay conservative. And don't go along with the authoritarian. Don't go along with the guy that wants to amass more power in the White House and more power in Washington, D.C. than any president in American history. So her choice is support an authoritarian and a guy who's promised he's going to be an authoritarian. And I could go down the list, but he's promising it every day. Vote for me, Donald Trump says, and I will be a menace to American democracy. And of course, Nikki Haley basically hinted at that and also called him a bully, said he was unstable, said he was unhinged, too unhinged to get a driver's license, as Mika said. And now it's like, oh, Biden, he's a disaster. I love when they start talking about how Biden's a disaster and they really can't name anything. They go, oh, student loans, it's so horrible. And they compare student loans with people trying to overthrow American democracy, not understanding just how out of it and how stupid they feel. They don't call Joe Biden a socialist or a Marxist or a communist with the Dow over 40,000, with the economy stronger than it's ever been. And again, them not realizing just how stupid they sound. But, you know, everybody's got to choose. And she has chosen. And unlike a lot of good conservatives, she's chosen the authoritarian leader. So let her go with that. And it's on her, not us.
Yeah, and by the way, she could make the choice that so many of her own supporters have been making in these primaries by not voting for Donald Trump. Not saying that I love Joe Biden, but saying I'm not willing to take the country down the road of Donald Trump again, which we're seeing in primary after primary. She's getting 15%, 20% on a campaign that she shut down a couple of months ago, a campaign that she ended by quoting Margaret Thatcher and saying, never just follow the crowd, suggesting I'm not going to just fall in line with Donald Trump. I'm never going to fall in line with Donald Trump. And now here she is in a move that, as you say, Joe, seemed inevitable to most people. Remember, she called him unhinged several times. He used a birther attack on her. He went after her husband, who's deployed in the United States military overseas, asking, where's the husband? Well, he was defending the country around the world. None of that seems to matter. You can go back to Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. We've had this conversation 1,000 times. It just doesn't matter. But even take out the personal stuff. And as you guys point out, we're not talking about, is it Joe Biden or John McCain? Is it Joe Biden or Mitt Romney? Is it Joe Biden or George Bush? We're talking about a guy who has promised to undermine the foundations of this country and has already attempted to do so in our last election.
Yeah, I mean, she could have waited perhaps for a moment to come her way with all the different dynamics in this election. You never know, but she's chosen to go with Trump. Along with Joe, Willie, and me, we have the host of Way Too Early, White House bureau chief at Politico, Jonathan Lemire, the president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, Reverend Al Sharpton, NBC News national affairs analyst John Heilman. He's a partner and chief political columnist at Puck. Former White House Director of Communications to President Obama, Jennifer Palmieri. She's co-host of the MSNBC podcast, How to Win 2024 with Claire McCaskill. And MSNBC contributor and author of the book, How the Right Lost Its Mind, Charlie Sykes. So here we are. And here is more of what Nikki Haley said yesterday in her first public appearance since exiting the race back in March, followed by what she was saying about Trump during the primary.
I put my priorities on a president who's going to have the backs of our allies and hold our enemies to account, who would secure the border, no more excuses. A president who would support capitalism and freedom. A president who understands we need less debt, not more debt. Trump has not been perfect on these policies. I've made that clear many, many times. But Biden has been a catastrophe. So I will be voting for Trump. Having said that, I stand by what I said in my suspension speech. Trump would be smart to reach out to the millions of people who voted for me and continue to support me and not assume that they're just going to be with him. And I genuinely hope he does that.
You know, that is one of the most remarkably unmoored from facts description on why you're voting for Donald Trump I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it is mind-boggling that somebody who actually claims to know anything about policy would say what she just said. Like I said, I'm not shocked that she's cynical. She's been cynical her entire political career. It doesn't shock me she went back to Trump. But you're going to have to do a lot better than that, Nikki. I mean, hold our enemies to account? Hold our enemies to account? You know, John Heilman, where do we begin? When we talk about how he lavishes praise on Vladimir Putin, Trump lavishes praise on President Xi, sends, quote, love letters to Kim Jong-un. He loves our enemies. He loves the tyrants that hate the United States of America to their very core. What is she talking about? Joe Biden has hemmed in China in the Pacific. We've seen it. We've talked about it. It's a part of the historical record. He's leading the effort to push back Vladimir Putin, where Donald Trump says, basically, turn it over. I'm going to end this war in day one, and called Putin brilliant for what he did. And yes, he said he has a love affair with Kim Jong-un, the most ruthless tyrant who wants to nuke the West Coast of the United States of America. So hold our enemies to account. That is completely a fact-free garbage. And then you go to supporting capitalism. Let me say again, the Dow is over 40,000 points. If Rishi Sunak had the economy in Britain that we have here, he would be in much better shape on July the 4th when the next election is called. We have, and conservative economists will say this, and columnists will say this, we have the strongest economy in the world. There's not a close second. We are the envy of the world. And so somehow Donald Trump is going to do better than that, throwing up tariffs and protective borders that even the Wall Street Journal calls, a nightmare. And then finally, the one that, again, because I got to Congress because I was worried about the national debt.